Hello everyone, it's a trading card collector with more One Piece metals. Today I have this set. This is called the Qinglin, a Qinglin Volume 5 set. Now it has been a hot minute since I've recorded a video and uploaded on the YouTube channel. I've just been pretty engaged with the Whatnot stream, so I've been streaming there several times a week, opening lots of boxes. But I did want to show this set on the channel because I don't think I have ever shown any of the Qinglin sets before. And I did want to, now that I have a lot of cards over here from this set, I did want to show a lot of them and the flyer and the card list and talk a bit about this particular factory. Now this factory, the Qinglin factory, it's relatively new. This factory only really began operation like a couple of months ago, I think, like 2 or 3 months ago tops. But they have already released 5 different sets. Now they've released the Qinglin volumes 1, 2, 3 and 5. 5 just got released, and they also had a 2 differently named sets that's called Wuji is the first one and SiSi is the last one. Within the past, I would say like the past 2-3 weeks, we've had 2 different sets from this factory. We've had Qinglin Volume 5, which I just received a couple of days ago, and we also had SiSi, which is SiSi Volume 1. But it's very obvious when you see those cards that they're exactly from the same factory, not just in terms of packaging and imagery, but also like card quality and details on them and such. But it's a relatively new factory. One of the things that this factory is well known for is that they do not seal their boxes. This is a box, a sealed card, well, not a sealed card. This is a box that you get it from the factory. It is not sealed. Anyone can just technically open it when you buy the case. Anyone can really open it. This is an empty box. I've just put like an empty Mac case in here. This is a sample. It's an empty box that I've used on my Whatnot streams. And they never seal the boxes, which is a bit unfortunate because they really should, right? It's you're always going to have some unscrupulous streamers that are just going to shift things around and just extract anything of high value and everything. So that's very unfortunate. They have already announced Volume 6. And Volume 6 is not even going to be a card like individual box like this. It's going to be a binder set, which means you're going to get a binder with 9 cards. And the case will have like 6 or 7 binders, and that's it. So I do hope at least they do seal the binders. But anyways, we're here to talk about Qinglin Volume 5. So I do want to start by showing the actual card list, which I do have here. So let me switch that screen to that. And here we have it. This is the card list for Qinglin. So the normal PDF that you get from the factory. And we start with the flagship image here, which is the maid subset. There's a maid subset with a BV. And then we go on to, there are 2 different Ghibli subsets here in the set. The first one is the one we see here, and it's just a Totoro. This is a Totoro subset. I don't know if I have any of these to show today, but these have a very, very cool texture to them. This particular factory is well known for doing a lot of collaboration sets. So you're going to see a lot of One Piece plus something, One Piece plus Ghibli plus Pokemon plus Dragon Ball plus Demon Slayer. A lot of those. Some sample cards here. As per usual, the card list is not going to show every single card in the set, but it will show generally a fair amount of them. So this is all the Totoro subset. And we have an indication here saying that it is there's 9 cards in the set. Then we have, this is like a weird made Final Fantasy themed. You're going to see some Final Fantasy generic characters in the background, some of these here and there. But we have some cool Final Fantasy characters over there. Then we have the SpongeBob subset. I'm not really familiar with the franchise, so I can't really name the characters, but I do know these are from SpongeBob. And SpongeBob himself is around there somewhere, I believe. We have some tree stumps. This is a very weird subset, to be fair. When I was opening this on the stream, probably the one people liked the least. But yeah, it's just like the different One Piece characters stuck in a tree. It's a very, very peculiar. Now, this is one of my favorites, a Dragon Ball subset. Dragon Ball subset. Here we have a Nami with Shenron. One thing that we did notice that bugged me is like the number of stars in the Dragon Balls is not consistent. So we have 4 over here, 4 over there, and it's 5, 3 over here, 3 over there. So you don't have the 7 Dragon Balls proper as you should, which is annoying. But otherwise, it's a very cool image. And they started doing some more of the Dragon Ball One Piece collabs, and I think that's great. What else do we have in this set? Now, look at this Boa. Boa Shenron, that's fantastic. More collabs. So we have, this set has JoJo, Demon Slayer, JJK, Naruto, a lot of different collabs with popular animes and some less popular animes as well. I do think this is one of the cards, one of the sample cards that I have to show as well too. Other ones, this one is the Maid subset. Oh, sorry, that's just the header image. Mega Man. We have some Mega Man cards. Normally also you're going to get 2 different subsets from each one of the collabs. Some of them, one of them is textured, the other one isn't. And this is the Mega Man one. The Mega Man one, I believe this is the non-textured one. There's a different Mega Man subset that it is textured, but you will get 2 different sets of cards. See, like over here we have, we have a duplicated Stussy and Stussy. Super Mario. We also have a Super Mario subset in this particular collection. And this is, I believe, the 2nd time they've done a Super Mario. The previous one was in Wuji, and they also had a Super Mario subset. Unfortunately, on the previous Mario collab, they had splashed the One Piece logo over there in the corner, and it just happened to be the same place where characters tend to have the faces. So it was very unfortunately placed. This one though, this one is a lot better. So you can do some very cool art here. The Super Mario and One Piece collab. What else do we have? We have more of the collabs over here. Detective Conan. And not a series, Detective Conan is not a series that's been as popular in the US as in Japan. But in Japan, Detective Conan has been ongoing for like 40 years at least. It is massive. It's a very popular series. And we see all the different cards here. As you can see, some of these are pretty significant. It's not just 9 cards per set. You have a significant amount of them. Street Fighter. Also not the first time they've done a Street Fighter collab. And they also have a King of Fighters collab. They have 2 of the same sort of theme. Another one of the famous collabs, Demon Slayer. The Demon Slayer ones are becoming more and more popular lately. I see a lot of sets coming up with these. And Naruto. The Naruto ones also pretty big. And I do believe this Naruto subset is 100% with Boa Hancock. We have her here as Madara. Yeah, these are all just Boa themed. Some of them, you cannot see it in the flyer, obviously, but I do recall this one in particular. I opened this one. They have like a crazy amount of texture on them. They feel really cool. And of course, as always, they're very thick metals. More of the Narutos over here. Oh, and that's everything we have on the list. That's not every card in the set. That's not every set that is available here. But another thing that this factory is well known for is the card lists tend to be incomplete. They don't really have everything listed. And when they do, sometimes they just disappear. Before they actually release them, they will just decide to remove a particular subset. The quality control in this factory is also not, to be fair, is not top-notch, because the distribution of the different cards and the different cases is not really what it should be. Normally you expect a consistent distribution of a particular tier. In one case, you might get 1 card from that tier, you might get 2 cards from that tier, but you expect the same amount on every single case. I have opened cases from this factory that had, for example, 0 cards of one particular tier in one case, and then the case after that had like 5 or 6. So it's very random. But all right, let me just show some samples here as I keep talking about this set. I'm going to start with the least popular ones, which are the tree stump. Here I have a couple of these tree stump ones. like the boa one I mentioned, we were looking at the flyer, this is probably my least favorite here. They're still very nicely built cards. They're very thick metals. Each one of them comes in your mag case. They have a very low serial. That's another thing that is pretty, that this factory is very well known for. They have a very small print run, which means like every card is going to be very limited. This particular subset only has 7, right? So this boa, there's only 7 copies of this boa. This is a 2 out of 7. And the quality control, another thing that I mentioned about quality control, or even like the logical control, this background doesn't make sense, right? So we have some sort of like Naruto theme, Hokage, Mount Rushmore background here from Naruto, which really makes no sense whatsoever with this front. But there's a couple of things to note from this factory as well. Very low serials, very small print run, and some backgrounds that make absolutely no sense. But yeah, this is a sample of what you can get. And this, as they happen, this is a serialized out of 7. So this is the lowest serial that you can actually get in this particular set on regular boxes. You can also get a redemption binder. Some of them have like 1 out of 1 cards in them. But within the boxes themselves, here's a Khalifa over here. That's a 1 out of 7. Within the boxes themselves that you open, you can only get serialized in this particular set out of 7 or out of 11. Out of 11 being the most popular ones. So it is, on one hand, it's pretty nice to, when you have one of those cards, it's like, hey, I have a card that is so rare, there's only like 7 of them on the planet and I have one of them. That is actually pretty cool, right? But on the minus side, it does also kind of devaluate the all the larger or / normal print run sets, because on those, having a card that's serialized 1 out of 90, for example, is also very difficult to get, right? And they might also be a case hit. But, you know, it doesn't feel as cool as having something that is, oh, this is just serialized out of 7. All right, let me see some more samples over here. We have this one. This one is like a weird, like Uncharted collab. We have here Anami doing some archaeological exploring. Very cool frames, very cool image. Very cool card in general, but this is another instance of the background here making absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because on the background here we have Zootopia, and it's not the only subset in this particular collection where you're going to see Zootopia as a background. There is no logic whatsoever on front and back. And another thing you might notice is it says 1 pine, it's not 1 piece, which is something also that this set has been known of. In the back, however, it does say 1 piece proper, right? But in the front, many times you're going to see 1 pin instead. And it is weird because some of the other collections, when they do different sets with like Wuji or SiSi, it does say 1 piece. And I mean, even here you can see it says 1 piece in the back and 1 pin in the front. So it was clearly a mistake that they did when they did the first set, but they just never corrected it. Let's take a look at some of the cards. We also have, here is a collab with Saint Seiya, which is another franchise that hasn't had a lot of popularity in the US, right? But we have here Yamato and a Khalifa with the Saint Seiya collabs. And all of this, let's see, this background is neutral. This is a generic background, and that's fine. This one also happens to be 1 out of 11. And here you have 1 piece in the back. All of these cards came from the same case. I think most of them, maybe like a couple of cases. But you do have some of them saying 1 piece. Whenever you see it in the back, it's going to say 1 piece properly. Whenever you see it in the front, sometimes it's going to say 1 pin. Which was, yeah, it was a bit of an oddity on the first set. And they've just continued doing it. But this is the Saint Seiya collabs. So far, everything that we're seeing has a very plain texture. They do have some reflection applied to them, but it's just a very thick metal slab, right, without any additional holo effects or UV effects on them. All right, so we've done the first couple of collabs. They're like some Saint Seiya collabs. Let's take a look. Here we have SpongeBob, one of these SpongeBob's collabs. We have a Piranha SpongeBob. Again, without a ton of detailing on it, just cool image, cool card. Again, we have this Utopia in the background. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't mean it's not a cool image. If you're going to be putting this in a binder, then you're probably not even going to see the background anyway. But all of these are still serialized out of 11. So the only one out of 7 that exists in this particular subset is this tree stump and the Uncharted one. All right, let's take a look at another tier. This one, honestly, I'm not really sure if this is a collab of some sort. It seems like a combination between Matrix and Venom and maybe some like tentacle porn sort of thing. But we have these also with a Naruto background. Naruto on the Hokage mountain in the background. It's a very cool image. I just don't, if this isn't reference to any specific IP or series, I do not recognize it. But this one is a very cool image. Also, despite this one being also out of 11, serialized out of 11, I have only pulled one of these on every case, despite having opened a significant number of cases of this set. So it is, that's what I meant earlier also about some inconsistencies with this particular factory. And there's a couple more over here with the same tier. We have a Rage over here, and also a Boa. So a bit spicy, but not too in your face. There's definitely some subsets that are spicier. Let's go take a look at another collab. Another collab that they have, Shin-chan. Shin-chan, this one is very cute. We still don't really have any surfers or any effects on the top. It's just like shiny. Look, it's another 1 out of 11. Okay, because the print run is so small, you're gonna get a lot of 1 out of 11, so bookends, which collectors definitely appreciate a lot more. Well, here we have a Shin-chan and a Nami. All right, and there's going to be a lot of collabs in the subset. Let's take a look at, see here we have some of the Detective Conans, and hard to appreciate in the video, but we are starting to see like a lot of surface effects over here. You see like all the granularity that it has. So now these ones have a lot more work on them, a lot more, a lot more detailing than the other ones, the plain ones. And here we have a Mega Man in the back. See, there's absolutely no relation between Mega Man and Detective Conan. But, hey, this set, it has been very wild that the front and the back are so incoherent. We have a Detective Conan over here, and another one with a boa from the same subset. And yeah, I don't know if you can appreciate all the surface with the light reflection. You can sort of see all the effects that they've applied on it. All right, so those are 2 more. Let's take a look at all the other, some of the other collabs that they've done with Demon Slayer or JJK or JoJo. So I do have a bunch of those as well. I'm probably about halfway done. It is very nice, I'll say, that all of these come with a MAC case, because these MAC cases, these cards, are very thick. These MAC cases, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be 180 PTs, right? This, again, has no effect on them. We have a Naruto back again. But yeah, so I don't know if you can see it over here, but it's 180 PT is the thickness of this particular MAC case, and you can find them on Amazon or on Temu, but it is they're not cheap, right? Especially if you want to keep all your metals on MAC cases. It is not cheap. Personally, my collection, I prefer to take them off the MAC cases so I can put them in binders. Despite this being very thick, look, this one has a lot more effects as well. Surface detailing. Despite being very thick, you can still fit this in a regular 9-pocket binder page. You just need to be careful with the how many pages you put inside of a binder, because it becomes too heavy and unmanageable. So I put maybe like 6 to 7 pages top. But that way you can put in a binder, you can just flip through the pages and you can see them. All right. Demon Slayer definitely getting a lot more popular lately with the One Piece. More and more One Piece metal sets have all these Demon Slayer. I think like Demon Slayer and Transformers and Gundam collabs are getting very, very popular. Look, this one is crazy. The amount of effects and detail this one has is fantastic. Overall, despite all the weirdness that it has, like the one penny on top and the fact that the back and the front doesn't match, this still remains one of my favorite factories. Whatever they release, I will get a bunch of them because they are very, very cool. So I think, if not my preferred factory right now, is very close to the top at the moment. Yeah, despite all the weirdness, it's just like I like the collabs. I like to see all the Transformers and the Gundams and everything else that they might have, and especially when they do anything Dragon Ball related. That's awesome. That's when they go all out. Look, now here we have one of these maids, the Final Fantasy / maids. We have a Nick over here. This one is super cool. This is also one of the serialized out of 7. So you see, this is the 4 out of 7. Again, a Mega Man bag makes no fucking sense whatsoever, so don't mind that. But you're also only going to get one of these in every case. Now, I don't know, I mentioned the cases of this set are very wonky, but I did manage to get each one of these on every single case I had. But I don't know if that's going to be true for everyone. But yeah, this is a very cool subset. A lot of people were after this particular subset. What else do we have? Well, I have a couple of Marios over here. Let's take a look at the Marios. The Mario collabs that I mentioned, which do have a crazy amount of detail on the surface too. I mean, look at that. Look at all that. That is just bonkers. So we have the Bowsy and Uta over here. Of course, it does say the one penny on top. Can't help that. And Zootopia on the back. Makes no sense. I know. But that is still a very, very cool image. So we have an Uta over there. Super cool, super detailed. Not much going on in terms of frame and everything, which is great. They're not slapping like logos or randomness here. It's just like a very cool image with like a nice but not super elaborate frame as well. And there's a Khalifa Luigi over here as well. The Khalifa Luigi. So you can maybe see why I like this factory so much, right? And this happens to be a bookend, 11 out of 11. So all of these collabs are just so good. But honestly, this factory has been releasing sets non-stop. I have never seen a factory that has been so active. Because this factory only started like again 2 or 3 months ago. They started with set 1. And in the span of just a couple of months, they have released already 5 sets. Actually 6. So they've released 3 different Qinglings. 4 different Qinglings. 4 different Qinglings. 1 Wuji and 1 SiSi. So that's 6 in total. And set number 6 has already been announced. That is the binder set that I mentioned earlier. Let's take a look at the next tier over here, which is going to be a cool Zoro subset. Another subset that has an insane amount of surface effects. Right, there's not a straight surface anywhere here on the card. Zootopia back again. The Zootopia back is the most common in the full set. And actually the Naruto one is probably the second. But we have this subset is just Zoro. It's Zoro just typically in a very similar pose. Have a bunch of this. Zoro it's interesting because a lot of these sets, they're basically 99% waifu, right? 99% the female One Piece characters. But then Zoro started creeping up on a couple of them. And now some of them, very, very few, starting to have some metals that also include some of the other characters. Zoro was the first, though. There's another one over here. And look, a third Zoro right here. It is insane, the amount of detail that this has. But yeah, again, I love this factory so much. They do such cool cards all the time that I cannot get enough. I would love it if they fixed the one pinner and put it in as one piece proper. But honestly, at this point, it's sort of become a staple. All right, I have 4. It's another collab right here. This is one of the Naruto collabs. And as I mentioned earlier, all of them feature Boa. It's like Boa with the Sasuke's outfit. This one has a Mega Man background. See, you could have put the Naruto background here. That would make sense. But no. Mega Man background fits on the Naruto subset because fuck it, right? Here we go. This might be my favorite of the ones I have over here. Like Boa as Madara. That one is just crazy. All of these, I think everything that I've shown in this past row, they have all the surface detail on them. These are still out of 11, even though, look, this is a 1 out of 11. 1 out of 11. Which means that basically you would get a bunch of these on every single case. Normally, you should get 2. But again, some of these cases are wonky, and sometimes are wonky in the best possible way. Which means that if you really like the Narutos, you might get 4 of the Narutos. And I have another one right here. There you go, with Toby's mask. The Boa again. So we have 4 of the Narutos over there. Next is a very cool Pokemon Chopper Ghibli collab with, again, a super crazy hard amount of detail on those. Mega Man background on those. But yeah, this was a very popular set. It's the second one in this series that has like that Ghibli collab. The previous one was just with the Totoro. So that this one features always Pikachu and Choppy, and then some like Ghibli background. Not Ghibli characters, just like Ghibli backgrounds. Oh, like this one. This is the other one that I have here. So look at that. That is just gorgeous. These were also super, super popular. All of these that I have here, I open on the Whatnot stream. And they don't belong to me, they belong to someone else in the stream. But I'm just using the opportunity before I pack them and ship them, because I did that. This was from the stream last night. Before I packed them and shipped them, I wanted to take the opportunity to show some of them because I have not done a video in a while. All right, I only have a couple more to show. So let me start with Mega Man background here. But we're going to have a very, very popular subset, which is the Resident Evil. We have the Resident Evil subset. The Boa, I think the Boa is the best. This is the 3rd Resident Evil collab that this particular factory has done. These have been massively popular, the Resident Evil collabs, and you can see why, right? It's a super, super cool image, even though these do not have any of the other detail, the detail that the other cards had. The images and the subset is so, so popular that a lot of people are just going bonkers for this. We have the Resident Evil. I have a couple more over here. We have the Uta version of the Resident Evil. And these are out of 11 as well, which means you're going to get at least, well, if the case is not wonky, you would get 2 of those on every case. And then I have the Perona here as well. We have a Perona Resident Evil. Yeah, they started doing Resident Evil with, this is the first Qinglin proper set that has the Resident Evil collab. They had one on Wuji, that was the first one. Then the SiSi collection had the second one, and now Qinglin Volume 5 is the 3rd time they're doing a Resident Evil collab. They've always been super popular, all of them. The other one that's been very popular, and unfortunately I do not have any to show you, is the World of Warcraft. The Qinglin 5 has Warcraft collabs. 2nd time they do it, the previous one was Wuji. Alright, I only have one more to go, which is going to be, this one doesn't have a Mega Man or Zootopia background, but it's a Dragon Ball collab. And we have a Yamato and Gold Shenron over here. Now they have a couple of different subsets on the Dragon Ball collabs in this set. If you've watched my videos before, you know I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. So whenever I see anything Dragon Ball metal, I have to go for it. Now this is, again, not a ton of detail, but I love these images and I love the thick metals. And what have we done with this? This is the actually I think Dragon Ball collabs have been ongoing on every single collection that this factory has released. All the Qinglings and Wuji and SiSi, all of them have had some sort of Dragon Ball collab. And then, all right, I have one more to show. This might be my favorite one, which is this Nami. Look at that. Look at that Nami Shenron. And this one doesn't have any Dragon Balls with the incorrect number of stars around. It's just a very cool Nami and a very cool Shenron over here. It also happens to be the 1 out of 11. These are also serialized out of 11, which means that you would get 2 per case, at least, in theory, assuming that the case is not fucked up. But yeah, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous image. It's one of the reasons why I like this factory so much. They keep doing very cool Dragon Ball sets, Dragon Ball collabs. Not Dragon Ball sets, just Dragon Ball collabs with One Piece. And I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan as well as a One Piece fan. So it just goes without saying that I'm going to go get that factory. And that is a sampler. That is a sampler from most of the different tiers that you can get with this particular factory. There's some of the tiers that I don't have any samples to show you. For example, the Street Fighter or King of Fighters or World of Warcraft. I don't have samples for those, but you would also get one of those at least on every single case. But it's a pretty good start. I hope you get a good idea of what you can expect with these boxes from this particular factory, which I do tend to stream on my Whatnot streams. Now, unfortunately, because these sets have such a low print run, you can see like serialized out of 11 or serialized out of 7, they tend to sell out almost instantly, and obviously you cannot get them afterwards, right? You might be able to find a few cards here and there on Discord, on eBay, but normally when these sets come out, you can find them on the Whatnot streams for about a week or 2 weeks tops, and then they're just completely gone, right? And they're very, very low print runs, so they sell out very quickly. But there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see me open more of these, I usually keep a ton of available trades on my Whatnot streams. You can also use the link in the description to subscribe if you have never done so, and you get a free voucher for $25 US to use on your Whatnot purchase if you sign up via my link. Yeah, feel free to give me a follow, give the video a like, please, and join me on Discord and the Whatnot streams. I hope you like the content, and thank you and see you next time.